I, MP Singh, Principal Chief Engineers, Central Elections Authority, on behalf of the CA, welcome Sri VK Singh, Sri Sandeep Narangi, Sri Jitendra Dwivedi ji, Sri Uttam Lal ji, Sri Paresh Ranapara ji, Sri G. Ganesh Das ji, and Miss Bhavana Mittal ji, and all my friends and the colleagues. Welcome for the session 3, that is capacity building and human resource and R&D. India's power sector is poised for massive demand growth over the next few decades, driven by the high economic growth outlook. Niti Aayog projects electricity demand growth by the 400% from the 2022. The total demand will be around 5600 terawatt hours by the 2047. On the supply side, significant capacity addition is foreseen, particularly in renewables. Intermittent solar and the wind generation will be a major challenge for integration with the grid and stability thereof. In the transmission and the distribution sector, several new trends are emerging with the implementation of the smart meters, automation in the system operation, underground cables, asset management, etc. These mega trends on the capacity addition and T&D system operation require trained manpower to ensure that the quality and the reliability of the supply is maintained. Multiple stakeholders with defined role and responsibility must ensure that the personnel in the power sector value chain is provided with training for better understanding for emerging technical and commercial aspects and its implications. For example, trading of electricity is an emerging area. Further, increased adoption of the IT and OT automation increase the threat from the cyber attacks manifold. Hence, to prepare for the complexity challenges in the power sector, the technical knowledge acquired need to be supplemented with emerging technologies and applied engineering in various fields of power generation, transmission, distribution, load dispatch, power trading, and cybersecurity. All these skills need to be regularly upgraded to meet the modern power sector in India. Capacity building across India's power sector professionals involves a systematic approach that encompasses skill gap analysis, development of the national occupational standards (NOS), and fostering industries academia collaborations along with the public private partnerships. It is important to analyze the various jobs roles with the power sector to understand the specific skills and competencies required for each role. Existing skill gaps of power sector professionals need to be mapped and identified by the comparing the current skills of the workforce with the skill required in the future. International Renewable Energy Agency (IRENA) reports that over 10 lakh jobs have been created by the renewable sector alone in India, whereas Power Sector Skill Council estimated that over 16 lakh of the fresh skilled manpower will be required across the generation, thermal and hydro, transmission, distribution, and related downstream activities. Continuous skill gap assessment is required for key stakeholders, considering the policy and regulatory changes, particularly in the context of the energy transition, market design, and energy technologies. For example, the country recently witnessed a shift in operation, resumed by the introduction of a General Network Access (GNA). Such regulatory transitions impact the market participants, generator discoms, and the stakeholders involved in processing, delivery, and the settlement procedures. Development of the national occupation standards by engaging with the industry stakeholder is imperative to identify the key competencies and standards required for various roles in the power sector. It is essential to review the international standards and best practice to ensure the norms for competitive and the comprehensive. Drafting, validations, and securing desired approval of the on the NOS will be crucial before the same is distributed across the educational institutions, training providers, and industry partners. Collaboration between the industries and academia will be an important and welcome step towards undertaking capacity building of the professional to meet the future requirement of the power sector. Identifying and mapping leading universities and technical institutes with the strong power engineering and management program with the key industry players will to collaborate on capacity building initiatives will act as a premier to the collaboration effort. Collaboration models in the forms of the developing and the updating curricula that reflects the latest industry needs and NOS. Promoting joint R&D projects and scoping internship as well as the apprenticeship programs will be instrumental for the scaling capacity building measures. Developing industry specific training programs in partnerships with the private companies will be considered as an important aspect of capacity building initiatives. In this direction, collaboration on the building and upgrading training infrastructure, such as the simulations labs and training centers, will add effectiveness to the training landscape. Continued and the sustained efforts through involvement of the various science and technology laboratories like CPRI, CSIR, and government bodies like the Department of Science and Technology, Department of the Science and Industrial Research, and Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, along with the academic institutions, have enabled promotion of the technology in India. Capturing new trends in the capacity building is equally essential for staying relevant and responsive to the industry needs. The thrust area which are relevant while keeping in mind the future of the Indian power sector need to be appropriately explored. Use cases for the adoption of the artificial intelligence application in the power sector need to be explored. Capacity building from the perspective and the adaptability of information security controls for the energy utility industry assume immense significance. For each utility, integrated system or security operating system need to be in place for the visibility of the security in IT and OT integrated environment and application of the appropriate security controls to the protect them from the cyber attacks. Similarly, capacity building of the professionals toward the implementation of the smart grids and virtual power plants may be required in a targeted manner. Training and the capacity building on the artificial intelligence and the machine language, data analytics, and the predictive modeling and use of the digital learning platforms will be also an important area so that the same can be embedded in the Indian power system at an early stage. In this session, the expert will discuss the need for the capacity building and identify the emerging areas of the capacity building requirements in the context of the energy transitions and the mega trends. The focus will be on the identifying the government policy, interventions, and support for the sector professionals to stay relevant and embrace workplace challenges. Thank you.
Thank you very much, indeed, sir, for kindly providing a comprehensive overview for this session. And ladies and gentlemen, before we move ahead with the panel discussion, we would like to present before you a video message by Dr. Ranjan Banerjee, Director, Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi.
Greetings from IIT Delhi. It is a great pleasure to be speaking on the golden jubilee of the Central Electricity Authority. The CEA has steered over the last 50 years the Indian electric power sector, and we have actually evolved where we now are connected to every household and every village, and now we have a grid which is connecting all parts of the country. Going forward, The challenge is going to be where we are going to make this great sustainable and zero carbon. So we are going to have a large amount of solar photovoltaic, a large amount of wind, and the rules of the game are changing. This is the challenge for us, and I'm sure CEA, in collaboration with various power sector organizations and academic institutions like IIT Delhi, will rise up to this challenge. We at IIT Delhi cherish our collaboration with CEA. We've been doing joint training programs, joint research. There have been chair professors which have been funded. Together, we have to build the new sustainable power systems which now look at interruptible power, which now look at power which is going to be renewable, which is going to be flexible, and we need to look at integrating storage into this power system, which is essentially going to be something which is a variable power supply, unlike the dispatchable power that we had from fossil. To do all of this, we have to also do this in a way where we do it where it is cost effective, and then we have to see that the transition from the present power sector to the sustainable power sector happens in a way where we can build capacity, create jobs, create employment, and ensure that this is consistent with the development goals of our nation. And on this occasion, I think I would like to wish CA all the best, and we go towards India 2047, a Viksit Bharat, which is with our sustainable power systems designed and developed jointly by all the professionals in the country.
Thank you, Dr. Banerjee. And we now move towards the panel discussion. To lead our discussions today, we are privileged to have Dr. V.K. Singh, the CEO of the Power Sector Skill Council, as our distinguished moderator. Dr. Singh has been instrumental in driving forward the skill development initiatives within the power sector. His work focuses on bridging the skill gaps by fostering collaboration between industry, stakeholders, and academic institutions. We are fortunate to have a distinguished panel of experts also today. We have with us on the panel Sri Sandeep Narang, Director EY, who has 17 years of experience in the energy sector. Dr. Yatindra Dwivedi, Director Personal Power Grid, has a rich background in talent acquisition and human resource management. Sri Uttam Lal, Director Personal NHPC Limited, is responsible for human resources at NHPC, one of India's premier hydropower producers, and has experience in developing training programs and fostering a culture of continuous improvement. Srimati Lipika Verma, Senior Vice President, Schneider Electric, is a senior leader at Schneider Electric and focuses on nurturing talent and driving innovations and R&D. She brings a unique perspective from the private sector on how to integrate digital learning and cutting edge technologies into the workforce. We have with us on the days Ms. Bhavna Kirpal Mittal, CHRO and Head IT Admin and CSR, Hero Future Energies, with a vast experience in HR management, is focused on shaping the human capital strategy of a leading renewable energy company. Sri Paresh Aranpara, Director HR Grid India, is responsible for leading human resource initiatives for India's premier power grid management company. And Dr. G. Ganesh Das is from Tata Power. With those words, I now hand over to Dr. V.K. Singh to kindly carry forward the proceedings of this session. And may I request you, sir, to conclude the panel discussion in 40 minutes from now?
Thank you.
Over to
Thank
you,
you. Thank you, madam. First of all, I'm thankful that CA has chosen a very good panel. All people who are responsible for skilling in power sector. They are not here only for talking, but they'll also be responsible for major skilling which is going to come in power sector. Today, most of the speakers talked about finances, how the finance will come, how the technology will come, how the regulation will come, but the very few touched upon skilling aspect. I was happy that some of the international speaker talked about skilling. If we see other countries' model, especially particularly China, where I heard Mrs. Narang telling that when you look for talent, they have stadium of people available for. But India, it is not so. The kind of skill gap we have already, Mr. Naipal Singh said, is 16 lakh in power sector and almost equal amount in renewable. So the big talent will be required in future, and with the kind of AI ML coming, most of the things are changing. Most of the job roles are also changing. Every job markets are evolving. Jobs are evolving because many jobs getting obsolete, new jobs coming. And I tell you, talent is not something which is ready-made. You have to build the talent. Any talent you want, you need some time. Most of the organized spend a lot of time, and larger, smaller organization or maybe even bigger look for ready-made solution that you hire somebody and see start working for tomorrow, from tomorrow. It is not so. So skilling is a big game, and India need to push it very positively. Fortunately, the government of India, with its lot of schemes, are stressing the need of skilling in all area, and in power sector also we are pushing the skilling in a big way. So today we have a panel where I will start with Mr. Dwivedi. He is heading HR in PowerGrid, a very responsible organization which I recall started skilling long way, but nobody in India thought of. So I would request Mr. Dwivedi that what are your plan of skilling in the transmission sector? That is also going to be a sector which is going to grow in quantum jump will be there. So there are large number of skilling would be required. How would you meet that? How not only for your organization but for total skill ecosystem?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Singh. Uh, Taking forward the context setting done by MP Singh Saab, uh, at present the installed capacity we have around 430 gigawatt, and way back in 1947 it was hardly 1.36 gigawatt. So, and by 2030 it is expected to be around 430 gigawatt of 422 in the 820 to 850 gigawatt around. So what we have achieved till now in 1947 to till date, 77 years, we'll be achieving exact amount similar installed capacity in next 6 to 7 years. So accordingly, the corresponding transmission system requirement will be there, and the workforce requirement is very much required to be very agile and the technology savvy. So coming back to the skill requirement in transmission sector, the offshores wind is coming nowadays from Gujarat and other states. So the skill requirement of civil engineering and then platform building and then undersea cabling, these are all skill requirement for the transmission sector at present. Then the integration of renewable energy, we required variability and intermittency in renewable energy integration in transmission system. So skill required for that is very much required for the transmission engineers. Then energy storage system, the competency required for energy storage system and building more and more R&D efforts are required for efficient energy storage system so that we can take forward whatever the government of India has given target for energy storage also. Then still requirement for microgrid, and then distributed generation part. Then we have a project at Pang, very high altitude project, HVDC project it is. So the R&D is still going on for that much altitude project so that we can take up high altitude HVDC project from Pang to Kathal. So skill requirement is very much different in those areas. Then the data analytics, digitalization, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and then digital twins, big data, all these are the need of the hour. And then capacity enhancement for existing transmission system is also very much required because uh, more and more right of way problems we are facing. So we need to enhance the existing capacity of the transmission system in spite of instead of building the new transmission systems. So these are the future skill requirement for the transmission sector.
Thank you, Dwivedi ji. Uttam Laji, you are responsible for hydro sector. My question to you is how you are gearing up for the scaling in the hydro sector, because your challenges are different, the people required would be different, and how for as a sector as a whole you would be skilling people so meeting our future demand.
First of all, a very pleasant good afternoon to you all, eminent panelists and the august audience. I'm really privileged to be part of this knowledge sharing session. So you asked a very relevant question because I'll just give an importance of hydro sector. Hydro sector per se is going to play a major role to achieve the net zero 2070. And hydro sector is playing a very vital role for peaking power. But you may be aware the locations of all the dams or the power plants of hydro. Take anyone, it's at far off areas and border areas and or at a very tough climatic conditions. We are nowadays we are facing a crunch for two reasons. One is the mostly the young ones they are opting for AI and ML. Whereas in hydro, not only hydro in any power sector, it's a core area, it's the infrastructure area, and we need the core engineering branches. Let it be mechanical, electrical. In hydro, civil is very important. So these are some major requirement for executives, and generally being an all India, equal opportunity employer, we have to go in a systematic way. We are a regulated industry, so often we cannot go for even campus also. There are various restrictions. So we are now going through GATE. So that is one of for executives induction level we go through GATE. But nowadays there is a crunch of the vocational trades. You don't get the EOTs, that is overhead crane operators. That is essentially required for many power plants. All the old hats they retired, and we are managing anyhow. That is one. You don't get good welders. You don't get high pressure welder. That is a very specific technical job. And even you don't get a good fitter. That is these uh, trades are still required, but still I think even in the ITIs or in vocational trainees, now these trades are not getting that important. So we are gradually tying up with the ITIs or supporting them through CSR measures that at least train. Everyone cannot be engineer, everyone cannot be a computer engineer, because for O&M of a plant, we need a blend of it, executives, supervisor and workmen. And I think and that also helps as a responsible organization, because mostly if you once you take a land, generally the project of affected persons, they seek employment then and there. And that is one of the social cause that creates disturbances also, but we have to manage it. So we are tying up with the ITs to train the guys so that they can come up. The another important factor is, I think, Dwivedi Sahab has also mentioned about contractual labor. Contractual labor is also very important, but the skill set is not that as what you required with the changing technology and very fast emerging new technologies. So we have to also train the existing contractual labors. We have also linked up with the various institutions, even a few NGOs like your Team Lease, they are also having such kind of trainings. They train the existing manpower at various, they have tie up with them, or as well as they also have the ITIs and vocational institutes. So we have to have a pool of even non-executives also for both contractual labor as far as our own O&M staff. O&M is generally managed by our own staff. And as far as the middle level is concerned, my general managers, or we have MOUs with various IITs and IIMs, like IIT Roorkee. As far as civil engineering concerned, we are training them in latest technology like PSPs, or that is called pump storage, which is going to come in a big way in India. We have signed MOUs various state governments. So my executive has to be future ready. So once this comes, the person has to be an all-rounder. He has to be aware of, suppose he's a civil graduate, he should be aware of mechanical, solar, because PSP is a green power completely, from solar to battery and battery to water banks. So we train our middle level executives and senior level executives. Even we are the board of NHPC that has also gone under AI and ML training, because that is the buzzword, or that is the reality. It is coming to be future. So that way the top management is also being trained, and the middle level or level executives, and especially DEI inclusion, we are also doing exclusively program for women executives for abroad, to go into international conferences, see the practices by good companies of US or Australia or any other big company, because India is fifth largest as far as hydropower is concerned. The number one is China. So we send our people over there, go see how they manages their plant, come back and customize it and take it. As far as the junior engineers are concerned, we do take help of Power Skill Council, our CVIP, NPTI, and we have introduced certain courses, like we have introduced defense training also. That helps us in our boys to go, because we generally work in close tandem with defense also. We are at the border areas. Generally, the army stays over there, so we did give them defense training and also give them basic life support system training. Many a times they are completely cut off. So these are the skill sets which is hydro sector is required. Okay.
Thank you, Uttam. You touched about the contract labor. Basically, when I talk about skilling, it is largely not your in-house 10% versus 10% people you directly employ. 90% people are a contractual or construction labor and all. So skilling is about taking a person from the street, making him, giving him some skill, making him employable, and get into entrepreneurship. That is basically, and my idea is to explore what organizations are doing about creating catering to the skill ecosystem of their domain. Like I've to Mr. Rana Para, he's handling grid management, and grid management is a job which is not being handled only by grid, but all states are doing similar kind of. They have a similar setup. So and Sharana Para, this side. Sorry, I was looking at that side. तो राणा पारा जी आपका जो जॉब है यू हैव similar simulation level at state level also. Some kind of grid system exists. So, and your people need to be certified also. All level you have certification. My question to you is how you are trying to create people in the skills ecosystem that similar talent is available actually when you.
Yeah, very interesting. In fact, overall power sector scenario has been given. Context has been set by MP Singh Saab, and Mr. VK Singh Saab has also, narrated the power sector scenario. From transmission sector, we have heard Mr. Dwivedi. From hydro, Mr. Uttam Lal has, given the scenario. So, I represent Grid India, which is responsible for the grid security. Um, so that's very critical, very critical. If you can't imagine that we have power cut even for half an hour, so people are not tolerant about that. So considering that, the grid security is very critical for the nation, and we being Grid India responsible for the grid security of the nation, and we closely work with state, as Mr. VK Singh has rightly said that we are in very close coordination with the state. So our structure is like that. We have National Load Dispatch Center in Delhi. We have region Load Dispatch Center in Bengaluru, Mumbai, Kolkata, Guwahati, Shillong, and one for northern region in Delhi. And these regional Load Dispatch Center interact closely coordinate with the state Load Dispatch Center (SLDCs). So we have to have very competent system operators, power system operators who do their job, considering the challenges we are facing in terms of penetration of renewable in the system. Dwidi Sagar said that right now our installed capacity is almost 450 gigawatt, and sometime back we catered highest demand to the tune of 250 gigawatt to the nation, and renewable share is rising day by day. So on an average, the share is 11%, and at times it crosses 33% as well. And some European countries had renewable share of 100% for some point of time in the entire grid. So we have to have people who are main in control center who can take care of grid security. So CA has mandated the certification for system operator who are working in state load dispatch centers and load dispatch centers of Grid India. So there is a power system certification being offered by NTPI. So there is a certification training being run by NPTI, SLDCs, executives of SLDC and Grid India attend this training program, and they have to undergo a certification exam. And now CA is mandated that from June 25, I guess, all executives of SLDCs should be certified. And from 1st January 26, though whosoever is posted in control center, control room, is to be certified. So there is a big challenge. So, one statistic says that as on day, uh, out of around 1,000 executives who are posted in SLDCs, out of around 1,000 executives, 40% are only certified. So rest of, 60% executives are yet to be certified. So they have to undergo certification process. That's a big challenge. So time is very short. So around 600 executives are to be certified under this process, and NPTI do conduct the certification training program, and then they have to appear for the exam. So through this certification process, we build the skills. We impart training for the control room executives. So that's one part. Besides that, Grid India also, through Forum of Load Dispense Centers, do work for capacity building of executives who are posted in SLDC, state load dispense centers. We have various type of programs, technical nature. Also, we have come out with the leadership program for the executives who are heading SLDCs at state level, because it's very critical. Because being a head SLDCs, there's a big challenge. They have to work with transmission utility, which is their parent company, work with the state government, work with other stakeholders, work with central regulatory authorities and all that. So we have tied up with ISP Hyderabad, so we'll be imparting leadership development training to the heads of SLDCs as well. So we are working on building this skill not only for the executives who are part of Grid India, but also who are working at state level and who are very important stakeholder of Grid India for the grid security. So we are putting efforts to build skill not at Grid India level, but in all the state level as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Rana Pari. Rana Paraji has raised a very important point of certification. I must inform you all that CA in their new safety regulation has made it mandatory that whosoever work in either transmission, generation, or distribution, all people who are working on this must be certified. Actually, the minimum certification level is ITI. If they are not ITI, they need to be certified. You cannot engage even a contract labor who is not certified. Most of the leading organization like NTPC, Power Grid are putting in their bid. Any person, any contractor is deploying any person that need to be certified. So this skill regulation need to be taken care of. I mean, most of the people here would be from power sector. So I would like them to see this regulation and make sure that people deployed in your either in on your own employment or contractual or construction, they need to be certified people. That's now coming to Lipika Verma. Lipika Verma is head of HR of Snyder, and Snyder is known for innovation. My question would to you would be that how do you think the innovation and technology can help in skilling your own employee or the contract labor? That's my question to you. Because I have been to many of your innovation summit, and in terms of innovation of electrical system, you have done wonder. I would like to know your because HR view that how you are planning innovation in scaling, basically how technology can help us.
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here. So, thanks for the opportunity. If you were to really look at the power sector today, I think there is a sea change which is happening in terms of technological disruptions which are happening, and with the combination of different types of energy. I think there's a lot that we have to do in this space, especially in the context of net zero that we want to achieve by 2070. Now, for Schneider Electric, which is a company into industrial automation and energy management, we have our own ambition of getting into a net zero by 2030. So it's a big ambition that we are actually taking forward. And as Mr. Singh mentioned, that's one reason why innovation is super duper important for us as an organization. So if you look at our skilling program, I think there are four levels that we look at. One is individual, second is around leadership, third being around organization, and the fourth being in terms of sustainability. And as we think through it, when it comes to all our industries and plants across the globe, and in India, we have close to almost 24 plants, we actually kind of refer to all these four areas around individual, where there's a lot of detailed training and more in terms of skilling that we make people undergo, be it a permanent workforce or even the ramped up workforce, which is more on contractual. As we are in the low voltage and medium voltage space, there's a lot of different types of training that we provide to all our employees with respect to PCBA, with respect to panel building, fabrication, a lot in terms of soldering, welding, the wiring. So everything related with electricity is something that we try and equip our employees with. And irrespective of whether they are in Schneider or for the contractual workforce who leave Schneider and go ahead and join other companies or maybe do something, there is a lot that we do from a societal standpoint. And that's where our CSR programs around ensuring that we use technology to train them. We have different kind of labs that we have across India, close to almost 500 technology labs, wherein we are actually going ahead and tying up with polytechnics, ITIs to provide those electrician training, to provide in depth skilling of the workforce when it comes to everything under electrical uh, domain. Alongside, what we are also trying to do is with the coming up of industrial automation, which is a big thing now. We all know that Tesla factory in the US doesn't even have anyone manning the factory, right? I mean, it's all fully automated. And that's the future that we are looking at. And therefore, the innovation in terms of how do we ensure that we are able to skill the workforce to reach that level of industrial automation. So there are a lot of these labs that we are actually spreading across India, wherein we train people on industrial automation, we train blue collared employees on elements around energy efficiency, energy saving, so to say, and also moving towards a net zero. So if you look at our skilling, I think there's a lot which has been said over here, but alongside, I think we are doing a lot of skilling and training using technology, whether it's virtual reality related training, or getting them technology trained on different things like AI, MLL, so on and so forth. So while it is more around electrical, but our aim is to really make sure that we provide those consulting services around net zero, making sure that we reduce our carbon footprint. And therefore, a lot of innovation is happening in that space. And that's where we are trying to skill the manpower to make sure that not only within Schneider, but we are able to provide that consulting to other organizations to move towards the element of net zero and reducing carbon footprint. I'll stop there.
Thank you, Lipika. Thank you. You make me comment that looking into technology, what IT took 20 years to replace thing, I think AI ML will take my 2 years only. That is the real challenge for skilling only, or skilling also, because AI touches all the aspect of human life, and skilling also would be one of thing affected. And now we have Mr. Ganesh Das. He is Chief Collaboration and Innovation Tata Power, and he is a R&D man. Basically, I would like to ask you, sir, what are your what is the present R&D status in power sector? Because I find most of the companies spending less than 2% in the R&D area. Is not only spending it, what is happening in R&D in power sector?
So I would say that when it comes to R&D, there is very limited. It is not a question of spend. It is also the question of what sort of a commitment of resources you have, not only directly financial resource, but also in terms of what sort of structure you have in the organization. What sort of a structure you have which integrates R&D into the processes within the organization. So that is where the game is. And if you really go take few steps back and look at the energy, the electricity sector, the power sector, you would find that we have been predominantly following a technology. For instance, when the electrification happened in India, it was what were the main technologies? Transformers, cables, switchgear, and it stayed like that for a long time. And even if you look at the designs of the transformer today, some of the changes which happened in the cable, it is very limited. So predominantly the structural design has remained same for all the time. But I did make a mention, we had an initial presentation wherein we mentioned that the IT OT integration had come, and then IT getting integration had probably had set things in context. We have started looking at that information technology is not only about computers, operation technology is not about just looking at a data, but it is important to integrate both the things. Then you have got smart grid coming in a big way. When the smart grid came in, then the two-way communication, then we realized that electricity sector is not to be looked at alone, but has to be looked at from the other industries also. So therefore, communication technologies become extremely important. The two-way communication started happening. You have got smart meters started happening. Then everything started getting integrated, and then field level devices started coming in, and then slowly that automation and those kind of facilities started coming in. So having when all these things were happening, one thing also emerged in parallel to everything was then in India we were more looking at an integrated company. For instance, if you look at Tata Power, we are an integrated company. We have got a manufacturing plant of almost 5 gigawatt, 4 gigawatt new plant, and almost 800, 900 megawatt of polysilicon manufacturing plant. We have got our we have got our thermal assets. We have got our, renewable assets, wind assets, transmission distribution license in various areas. And then we have got our generating assets. So it is all integrated and you have to talk to each other. And then you have to have a common services running it. So everything what is happening in India was we were buying technology and then we were using it. I think it is high time that we have to start looking at technology from the point of the fact that we should invest in technology. And to start with, there has to be, you can call it R&D or you can call it applied research. If you feel that the basic level research is missing because fundamental research in India in some of the things we struggle. So even if we say that the fundamental research we may not be there, but at least applied research, defining different applications, using of data, there we do. I think that's also a big deal. So if you look at India per se, the status at the moment, we are actually moving towards a kind of looking very good at the applied research part. We have started looking at new application, innovating different applications, etc. And for doing that, it is very important to, because in for India, this energy transition, Professor Rangan Banerjee also spoke about that. Energy transition is extremely important. We are moving from the gray to a green scenario, wherein we have to look at technology, and we cannot afford to buy technology what has been there across the world. At least I'm talking about specifically from the European or from the Western side, and then use it. We have to have technologies which are very frugal, which are very sustainable in nature, and we should actually look at the Indian ecosystem to do that, and we should essentially look at manufacturing everything in India. Let me take an example. Tata Power did the India's first 10 megawatt battery energy storage system integrated to the grid. And then, and that was South Asia's largest when we did that at point in time. Today, you have got the lithium-based chemistry coming in a big way. Now we have started also looking at alternate chemistries of batteries, sodium-based chemistries, manganese-based chemistries, zinc-based chemistries, vanadium flow batteries. So it is very important to look at those technologies also. So while for doing that, you have to have an open kind of a structure and an open understanding to see that how do we really create the feudal innovation. India can lead in some of those and also create a manufacturing base. We did hear these speakers talk about these skills. The skills are going to change. Let me give you an example here. The electric vehicle and a conventional automotive, one of the reasons that the adaptation is not happening is because the skill sets required for an automotive repair service is extremely different from an electrical vehicle repair skill sets. And then you have created a supply chain, you have created infrastructure, you have got people employed in that sector. You cannot make a chain like that. It's not so easy for very large company to do that. So the transition in skill is also happening on one way. So today's engineer, at some point in time it was predominantly electrical engineers, but today you have got somebody who may not be even an engineer, somebody who manages data, somebody who's understand analysis of data, somebody who's able to look at distributed use of data so that information could be and the decision making could be done very quickly. The control center, what we talked about, manual operation has given way to automated application. 1%, 2% is enough to manage the controls. Many of the, signals, many of the alarms, everything comes out of the signal. Everything is integrated. SCADA is integrated to different platforms. Billing, it is integrated to billing, customer complaint, etc. So you have got all these things happening. I think to give a very straight statement on that, the research as far as this is a long way to go, but at the same time, I think India is moving towards what we call as an applied research, and we are developing different applications which are very interesting and perhaps very unique to India, and which has got a potential to get scaled up to other parts of the world also. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next panelist is Bhavna Kripal Mittal. She's the only one presenting from renewable sector. So my question to you, Bhavna, is what are the challenges you see in skilling, particularly in renewable?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. So, renewable being the sunshine sector attracts a lot of investments in the country. And what happens when in such a scenario, most of the people are actually, there's a war for talent. And we call this a massacre sometimes, because most of the companies need people, and thanks to the government who's pushing the agenda of 500 gigawatt by 2030. So, which means all the companies in the sector need competent manpower, but we don't have the manpower. So, this is the biggest challenge. As one of the panelists said, that engineering degrees in the core streams, actually, they're not yet that lucrative as they used to be 20 years back. People still opt for IT sector or go to NBFC's financial sector. But core skills of electrical, mechanical, civil, electronics is missing. The target of 500 gigawatt cannot be achieved like this. Second is the academic institutes do not have courses that focus largely on power and that too renewables. I'm not saying that we do not have courses or institutes in India. We have Pandit Deen Upadhyay Energy University. We have University of Petroleum and Energy Studies. We have NPTI. In fact, NPTI is the biggest source of manpower supplier to the renewables. And their training programs, one of the co-panelists mentioned that are very good, and all the players in renewable sector are actually opting for that. So the need is that these streams have to be made lucrative, and also STEM education, especially for females, because the third challenge I'll say is we are a female deficient sector. I don't think if the entire sector is put together, we will be more than 12-13%, which is way below what the standards should be. So I think STEM should be made more, people should be passionate for STEM education at the school level. Now, that actually will come from when we show them that this sector will give them the potential and wings to fly high in their careers. Because infra sector, people don't want to join largely. They say, oh, it's an infra sector, and let's go to nice, swanky AC offices and be there. So this is where the challenge lies. And most important is that whenever you go for recruitment on skills like simple skills like forecasting and scheduling, you don't get people. And I'll say even health and safety from a perspective of renewables, you don't get people. And now we're talking about green hydrogen. I'm sure everyone knows that the government has launched a national green hydrogen mission, and we have a target of by 2030, 5 million metric tons of green hydrogen, and for which 125 gigawatt of renewable power will be required. So these are the new emerging skills that will be actually required, and we have already have huge shortage of solar and wind, and green hydrogen. I think we need to gear up to have programs that can focus on developing people for future, because renewables is the future, as everyone I think acknowledges. So trust is required on this sector and building skill sets. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhavna. Bhavna, you said 3 times we don't get people, we don't get people. My question would be to all of people who are representing industry, why don't you prepare people actually? Any industrialist, industry person can say we don't get people, we don't. That will not suffice basically. And I tell you, India is sitting on a good demographic advantage. I'll not call it dividend unless you capitalize it, that will be dividend. And you have only 10 years to go. After that, your population will be that tall. The skilling would, I mean, we want to be a world skill capital. The government of India want that India to be world skill capital, where we're not applying, not supplying skill only to Indian industry, but to the whole world. That is a possible actually. But only we need to create skill system in the skill ecosystem in the country. So opportunity is now, and we cannot lose this opportunity of skilling large number of people who can feed to the Indian power system as well abroad. So because of paucity of time, I'm not repeating. So I would next 5 minutes we'll take few questions. You can ask any panelist the question you have. Yes. Hmm? Just 1 minute. Sorry. We missed one very important. Sandeep Narang. He is the ENY director, and kind of experience he is bringing. I was sorry. I was in no hurry. The kind of experience he is bringing, that's really amazing. I mean, you heard all industry people, but he has kind of experience which will give you global experience of skilling. What happens, what is in the skill domain happening in the world, what leading countries are doing. So India need to follow. Sometimes we need to copy. If you cannot do, we need to copy. We don't need to copy the best practices which are available abroad in terms of skilling. So my question to Sandeep Narang would be to share us some good skilling practices across the world in the leading countries like China. We said one speaker said, Mr. Shahi said, what China has achieved today, if India could achieve by 2030, that would be more than sufficient. That's kind of 4 times power they are uh, producing right now. So, what in terms of skill, what you practice you would like to recommend us?
Yeah, I think, I mean, thanks. Very good afternoon. I think most of the panelists have already touched upon, so nothing much to add, except the point that, we keep talking about China, Taiwan, and, obviously those are gold standards when it comes to scaling. So just a point to extend upon what my previous speakers, both on the left and right, mentioned. Um, on skilling, I think we are very functional, very compartmental. We are still structured like civil, electrical. You know, even in you go to any facility management, you will see mechanical, electrical, plumbing, MEP as we call it. So I think we are very departmental functional. We are not process. We are not focused on the processes, and that's where I think we need to change the mindset. Uh, for energy transition, we need a skill transition. Somebody coined that word, so I think I like that word. And one of the elements of that skill transition should be process focus. Um, Interestingly, China is a lot of people confuse that you know that China is China because Taiwan is Taiwan because of cheap labor, heavy subsidies, cheap electricity. Unfortunately, that's not really accurate. They are there because of their skills, um, and they're there because of the vocational courses, the processes that they focus on. So anything around tooling, anything around specific, somebody talked about welding, specialized, Schneider talked about specialized jobs that are required. So they've invested heavily on those skills. They can literally fill people with football stadiums on a one particular skill, anything that you pick up. Whereas, doing this in our country is still, a distant dream. So I think that's something that we need to change a mindset on. We should not really just look at, you know, training programs, etc. We have to change the approach to skilling. And on R&D, just one small point. I think, yes, you are right that the spending is not much, although that's not a correct way of looking at it. But I still believe, even if we take that as an indicator, 2%, that's very less. Even in absolute terms, it will be very less. India private sector spend on, uh, and when I say private sector, I'm talking about generally entities, for profit organizations, not really private versus public sector, including, I mean, the full basket. The spending is less, but thankfully in India, government and bilateral funding has started coming in a big way on R&D. So I don't think the fund shortage is really a concern about doing R&D in India. Even though private sector capital or the enterprise capital to going towards R&D is less. For example, Government of India has this ANRF, Anusandhan National Research Foundation, which is being spearheaded by Honorable Prime Minister himself, along with DST. The focus sectors, if you look at the focus sectors that are classified in that program, EV mobility, solar cells, photonics. These are some of the subjects which are anyhow part of that program. So you can obviously benefit from that program. And even on the green hydrogen mission that the lady talked about, 400 crores have been allocated. And you'll be surprised to know that more than 400 proposals on R&D has come up. So that's my 2 cents on this.
Thank you, Mr. Narang, for giving very valuable insight with respect to skilling. And now it's open to any question if you have.
Very good afternoon to one and all. Thank you very much. Now, basically, my very important question is that nowadays the cyber security and the cyber threats are the big challenge. My question is from all the panelists that how you can make the digital literacy in your HR of your organization, so that these challenges can be properly addressed and make your organization as the cyber hygiene organization. This is the question.
Nidhi ji, आपको इस question.
Very relevant questions. I also jotted down while jotting down the challenges facing the transmission sector or the power sector as well. The cybersecurity is one of the most critical aspect because nowadays what we think is the cybersecurity cell only, and we say that it is the responsibility of cybersecurity cell or the cybersecurity department to implement all the interventions needed. Though it is not.
Sir, cyber security cell is there not here?
Yes, yes, sir.
Just one minute.
Yeah, that's what I am telling. It is the responsibility of each and every person, uh, each and every silos or each and every vertical of the organization. They need to be aware about the cybersecurity aspects and the implementation of various interventions being taken at the government level and at the organizational level. So it is very critical. Yeah,
Trivedi ji, I would also add to you that Power Grid signed 110 crores MOU with Institute of Science for working on cyber security only for the entire power system.
Sir,
sector.
I am the
Just one minute, please.
I am the member of the governing council of the PGCOE.
Okay.
I am the one of the member of that.
Recently, we have inaugurated at
yes,
Delhi also.
ISC Bank.
Lipika is there from Science. She'll also reply to your question.
Okay, I'll just add on to what the other panelists said. For cybersecurity, as you rightly mentioned, it's super duper important. I think for all our employees, including blue collared, there is Schneider Essentials, as we call it, which is a program very detailed. It takes almost 45 minutes, and you have to actually pass that program, get a certification, and unless and until you do it once every year, you don't qualify for your other things in terms of promotions, appraisals, and all of it. So, Schneider Essentials, we have to drive 100% completion by 30th of September, year on year. So, it's not only once in a full year, it's every year by 30th September, you have to complete it. And we drive 100% across Schneider globally, 160,000 employees.
Still not to worry. I think all here sitting here faces 200 to 500 cyber attacks every day. Don't worry. So, yes. Five more. आप ऐसे बोल दीजिए सर. 5 more minutes, yes.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Sundar Kara. My question is to Uttam ji. I don't know. I got that idea that you have certain negativity against the skill development for the IT engineers coming into the hydropower, all those things. Because I have seen that you didn't even talk about anything about disaster management, wherein IT, artificial intelligence, blockchain, they can help you there. We had live examples a couple of years ago in Uttarakhand and other places. So taken all those things together, I would say that if the proper mine or this hydropower planning is done to the IT systems, these disasters would not take place at all. Even that it took a lot of time for those people who are alive there inside to come out. Those IT things would have been there. It would have been very, very easy. All those things taken together. I have also worked at the mountains and other highly hilly areas. I even worked in small hydropowers in other foreign countries in Russia and other countries. So it is never like this that such situations are happening. Even I would believe that even proper soil testing was not done of that project, so that these disasters could have been prevented. Then IT really, I agree. Civil engineers, electrical engineers, they are line managers. IT is support, but IT should not be neglected even from the planning uh, ab initio level, the planning level itself. That is my request.
Sir, you have raised a very relevant question, but I don't understand because we have got a strong IT cell per se. Let's forget about it. As far as you were talking about the two calamities, one is a Gulf in Tista. So that was a Gulf. So everybody is aware, and we do have sensors across the river, and we got 32 minutes only when that Sikkim government uh, dam, it's a coffer dam, washed out. So we could have only 32 minutes to pass out the silt and everything water, and our structure saved the rest of the Sikkim. But yes, there is only 32 minutes we got from our sensors, and
If
across.
IoT blockchain would have
Sir,
been there,
please,
artificial
please,
intelligence.
plenty of time.
Sir, 1 minute. Let me answer his
Sir,
question.
you
No,
ask question, not make a statement.
no.
Sir,
If IT and blockchain would have been introduced there, you would have got the information 2 days or 3 days or 1 week in advance. That this thing is going to happen.
Maybe, sir, things are advancing. I'm not.
No, not
No.
advancing. This was introduced in 2017 in Germany.
Sir,
Kya-
you can have a side talk. Last question.
Sir.
Yes.
Not prepared to listen even.
Sir, at the back.
Please ask a question.
Sir,
Don't
at
make
the
a
back.
statement. Actually, ask specifically what is your question.
Sir, excuse me, at the back. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last one.
Sir, I am Jitendra Kumar Meena. I am director in CA. So, I'll start my question like this: skilled manpower, from where this manpower will come? It's from the students that we come. So, I heard that in countries like Russia, a primary teacher will get a more salary than a postgraduate teacher. So, most of the parents, like in India, what they do 80%, they want their kids to do the engineering coaching. So now my question is how we get that, how we attract that manpower. So a person who do a polytechnic diploma and got a job, skilled manpower, he get a less paid, very less paid than who doing the degree and getting a assistant manager. Because I have seen this an example in a powerhouse. So assistant manager, manager, deputy manager, they all are waiting for the EOT crane that person has to come. Then the work will start. But actually,
Anyway,
actually, that
because of
person is
paucity of time, I've taken your question how to attract talent in power sector.
yes.
That is your question.
How to attract by increasing the pay, giving the adequate payment.
Anyone would like to answer this question? How to attract talent?
I think it's partly, there are two sides to this story. One is the supply demand of labor, and that is agnostic to power sector, right? I mean, if you are a qualified, say, engineer or even any other profession, there are various sectors open for you, right? So that will always remain. You can't change that, and whichever sector offers more value, sector creates more value, will tend to have the top talent going towards that. So it's a given. It's been there for last 30 years. It's not specific to India. It'll be there for whichever geography you remain. But I think what is changing now is the other side. Coming to the other side, that this sector is now not really the sector that you used to see 20 years back, which was very traditional, right? You're seeing a lot of talent already coming up and looking at uh, you know uh, since I come from a consulting background, I can tell you that there were very few consulting opportunities, very few consulting firms focusing on power sector consulting, but now almost everybody is doing that, right? So that itself shows that, and they all the Ivy League institutions, you're seeing representation in the workforce. So I think that demand, the pull of the sector is now working, but the supply side labor economics will still be at play. So it's purely incidental, how it will pan out. Yeah.
Dr. Singh, can I
Last
add?
question
Dr.
from
Singh,
this
can I?
side.
Dr. Singh, can I
Yes,
add?
yes.
Dr. Singh, can I add?
Yes.
Yes, just one more thing. One thing is we are looking at somebody directly coming and joining the sector, but you should also see that how indirectly we are creating the skill across the ecosystem. Now, I'll give you an example. Now you will find that I've talked about applied research. If you look at some of the research which we are doing with, say, IIT and all, the students are involved right at the early stage. One of the course is what they are going to do with us. So getting engaged at a early stage on projects is also another way. And second thing, what happens is many of these students, it is not necessary that you have to join a company. You see the startups are also coming up in a big way in this system. That is also in one way. If the companies become successful, then you create a ecosystem, then you have skills associated with that. If somebody does not work, again you are creating skills and again come into the industry. I think we should not look at only the directly, and as very rightly mentioned, that it is a question of demand supply. Many, in some case, some point in time, computer science was one of the sought after courses, and suddenly now you find that something else has taken over. So it is cyclic when it comes to that. But the whole idea is that if you have a participative, engaging activity with these students, so they understand what has been happening at the energy transition level, etc., it helps you to attract the right talent. It has to be a compatible talent and it has to be the right fit. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll take last question, please. Yeah, you can go without mic. Yeah.
Guidelines coming in and system operation in general becoming a lot more complex. We have talked a lot about skilling, but do you feel there needs to be an upgradation in the number of people who are working there? We agree everyone needs to be trained, but do the sanction strengths need to go up? Thank you.
That's true that as far as if you consider, if you include all the states, I mean, we've come out with one report on workforce adequacy. This is very relevant question. So, the problem is with SLDCs. Now, what we did, we submitted a report to Ministry of Power, where we come out with the, three category of state law dispense centers, where, predominantly activity related to system operation and market operation take place. So, there are three categories like large SLDCs, medium SLDCs, and emerging SLDCs. So, through a study, we have come out with the numbers that, the large SLDC should have this many number of executives, technical and non-technical executives, right? In medium, this should be the number, and emerging, this should be the number. So, this workforce adequacy guidelines has been circulated by Ministry of Power with all the states, and states have been advised that you offer a comment, and the process has been initiated to ensure that there is sufficient manpower in each state law dispatch center. If broadly I tell you, if we consider the present manpower strength of SLDC across the nation,
Sir,
the gap is.
please leave it. That's your insight story, sanction strength. If they are working with less, they are fine actually. Why do you want to increase the sanction strength? So this way, ask him separately. Last question from academia. Yes, no, only one question. Yeah, you can do off the mic.
Completely agree with all, but I like when they blindly say to me, hello. Yeah, thank you. My name is Harish. I'm from Netaji Subhas University of Technology.
Yeah, we heard.
Dwarka
Question.
Delhi.
What is
Yeah,
the
the
question?
question is that the students are very open saying that computer science IT नहीं मिला sir, इसलिए electrical join किया. Now the discussions are going on that can we merge electrical and computer science. The question to you is twofold. One is how open are you to recruit students whose degree is BTech in electrical with computer science? Because there is a discussion going on in the higher ups to provide such degrees. Second question is, how open are you to accommodate 3 month to 6 month PhD student internship to have a dialogue for R&D and to share the data? Only these two questions.
My simple answer is already applied. It's a demand and supply. If things are valuable, they'll be taken. If they are things doesn't create value, they'll be not be taken. This is a simple answer to you. If the degree offers some value to industry, they'll definitely absorb them. All we take to not many doctorate people.
One,
Yes.
yeah, we
Yes.
also take doctorate people. But answer to your first question, uh, it will be like if you have the core electrical power system subjects in electrical engineering along with the computer science engineering, then it will be okay.
Okay.
If you forego some of the core engineering subjects and then include the computer engineering, then it won't be enough for at least in power industries. Because as of now, I will tell that the power system studies is one of the elective courses in IITs,
Yes,
which is
power
very
system
much required
analysis
for
studies.
power
Yes.
transmission engineers. But
Yes.
it is one of the elective courses. It is up to you whether you are taking it or not. So these kind of engineers we don't want. So that depends on the the courses which we would be including in the electrical plus computer science engineering.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so
So
much.
my question to academia is always 10 years behind the industry. That is the one thing you need to take care. Now you can close the question, madam. Close the session.
This is the debate will always.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Let's put our hands together for all the panelists. And before we close this session, ladies and gentlemen, we have to run a 1 minute video message by Sri Shivanand Nimbargi. He's Chair FICCI, RE CEO's Committee, and MD and CEO Ayana Renewables Private Limited. Can we run that video message, please?
So India stands poised to be a global leader with the synchronized effort between the government and the people. This century can truly be India's century. Electricity is the backbone of this growth that we're looking in a massive way. As the fastest growing economy in the world, our energy needs are set to increase tremendously. To keep pace with our aspirations, we need to deploy significant power capacity. Renewable energy is the key to achieving this goal. India is blessed with immense natural resources like wind and solar. Now is the time, a choice that will not only benefit us for the next 20 years, but will create a lasting impact for the generations to come. India has ambitiously set a target for clean energy and has consistently achieved them. Today, we are looking at a target of achieving 500 gigawatt by 2030, which is easily achievable. To achieve this, we need a united effort from industry, government, and businesses. We must work together to provide the necessary momentum and critical mass for this energy transition. Achieving this ambitious target requires collaboration across all sectors, government, industry, and businesses must unite their efforts to accelerate energy transition. By working together, we can create the necessary momentum and critical mass to achieve our goals. A just energy transition is essential to ensure that everyone benefits from the shift to renewable energy. We must consider the needs of all communities and ensure that no one is left behind. We are all equal stakeholders in this revolution, and we all have the responsibility to contribute. I'm delighted to be part of this brainstorming conference by CEA. Together, we will discover, deliberate, and debate ideas that will shape the future of Indian power industry. By working together, we can create a sustainable, prosperous, and equitable India.
Thank you. And we now close the proceedings. I would request Shri MP Singh from CEA, our context setting distinguished speaker, to kindly do the honors of presenting a memento as a gesture of gratitude and appreciation to our distinguished moderator, Shri VK Singh Ji, CEO, Power Sector Skill Council. Thank you, sir, for wonderfully moderating this session. May I request you, sir, to kindly present to Shri Sandeep Narang, Director EY. Thank you very much indeed. Min and CSR Hero Future Energies. Min and CSR Hero Future Energies. To Shri Paresh R. Rangpara, Director HR, Grid India. and to Dr. G. Ganesh Das, Tata Power. And may I request Sri Sandeep Narang, Director EY, to kindly do the honors of presenting a memento to Sri MP Singh. And with that, I would request a group photograph of all our panelists on the stage. Thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, with that, we now close the proceedings of session 3. And we have a short tea break. The next session will commence from 4:30 p.m. and session 5 will be conducted in Hall A and session 6 will be conducted here in Hall B. Session 5 in Hall A from